The same issue of investment. And we can talk about that financially, we can talk about it socially, economically. And we are, as a culture, so obsessed with over-punishment and so obsessed with this myth that black crime is somehow more dangerous than white crime. Mm-hmm. Black drug use is somehow more criminal than white drug use. And it's these myths that have perpetuated the militarization of the inner city police forces that we saw in Ferguson, that happens in cities all across the country, where we are so fixated upon snatching up the low-hanging fruit so that police departments can reach quotas, so they go to the most densely populated areas and arrest, someone on the lowest level of the drug market, as opposed to going after the kingpins or the folks that the drug war was ostensibly created to fight. And so we invest huge amounts of money in roping and netting entire communities up without ever investing in their education, their economic development, their social well-being. And then we act surprised when the result is exactly as we made it.
But nobody has the political will to stand up and say, okay, this has to change. 20 years ago, you spent X amount of money on education, higher ed, and X amount of money on prisons. Well, that proportion has completely flipped over the last 20 years. Nobody has said, well, what has happened? How did that happen? And also, you mentioned marijuana. We are, the NAACP-Providence Branch, as well as the New England Area Conference of the NAACP, are in favor of legalization of marijuana for just that reason. It's unfair to target people that have 2.5 times more arrests in black communities than white communities, and it's to that extent that we are in favor of it. For those people that want to talk about the medicinal, that's good, and all the income, then that's good too. But the NAACP, we see it as a social justice issue, and we are for the legalization of marijuana in Rhode Island, because those arrest rates, that disparity is ridiculous.
And do those arrest rates also bear out in the prison population as they become adults, not only in the juvenile justice system, but in the ACI? Do we see a disproportionate prison population of people of color? Half
the people in the ACI are people of color. 25% of the state is people of color. So twice as many people are in the ACI as you would expect in terms of the population. So yes, it's for those crimes as well as other issues that we have in society.
And as Hillary mentioned, drug offenses have accounted for the biggest boom in the prison population through the drug war. And the rates of not only illicit drug use, but illicit drug selling and dealing, like Hillary mentioned, are relatively equal along color lines. And yet, if you walk into a prison in virtually any state in this country, you would think it's the complete opposite. You would think that these prisons, overcrowded with black and brown men and women, primarily for drug offenses, you'd think that they were running $1 trillion industry, but it's just not the reality. It is the discretion of where we place our police forces, where their incentives are for arrests and for charges, and our priorities are completely backwards.
And to be honest, from a public safety standpoint, Rhode Islanders should be furious about that. That the law enforcement, their time and their energy and their resources are being spent to disproportionately bust black youth and black young adults, and not in actually protecting the community. That all of our resources are being spent incarcerating these individuals and making sure that they can't ever get a job, get housing, get anything else, and not actually protecting the community. Rhode Islanders should be furious that that's what happens.